Welcome back to another episode of Let's Play 1001 Games. I'm your host, Gaming Jay, and don't be scared by the ominous music. I'm not gonna hurt you. We are here today to play Canabalt. This is an indie endless runner game where you try to outrun the apocalypse or some kind of giant space monster in the background, apparently, or maybe you're just outrunning your own responsibilities and personal fears. Who knows? You're running, that's all that matters. In Endless Runners, do you really need a backstory? Character need run, you go fast. That is that's the backstory of this game. We're gonna go ahead and hop right in here. It's like some kind of map or something, but I don't understand. Oh, you actually can select it. Okay, we're just gonna go with the default level. And we're not gonna waste any time. We're just gonna hop right into the game. This is Canabalt. You are a dude who falls to his death, apparently. Wow. That is probably the worst you can do in this game. There we go. All right, so basically the idea, oh, a spaceship just flew by. The idea is you're just running along rooftops, scaring pigeons and doves, jumping over boxes, parkouring your way across buildings. That's kind of it. There's, I think eventually bombs and stuff start falling, and you have to avoid those too. But man, listen to this badass music soundtrack. The music in this game is insane. Oh God. You know, the only thing I will knock the game for is I jump there and I hit the side of the wall of a building. They should have had me splatter, like guts and stuff should have flown out of me when I screwed up there. Other than that, the animation is incredibly smooth and everything just looks great. This is a game. Oh, I thought I made that. You ran 310 miles before hitting a wall and tumbling to your death. This is a game that was created in 1 week by the developer. He actually created it out of his own personal fantasy of running away from his office job, if you can believe it. He's said in interviews that when he was working in an office, he just had this fantasy of just running as far and as fast as he could. And so I guess he made a game that signifies, or it's a metaphor for, you know, modern office work environments, I guess. Ominous music, gray, bleak background, spaceships in the background. A decided lack of TPS reports. Man, this game's actually a little hard. This game is also credited with popularizing the endless runner genre. So it didn't start the idea of endless running, but it certainly sort of popularized. Oh, this building's collapsing. What the hell, man? That thing was not structurally sound. If a single person running along the roof collapses your house, you need to see, you need to hire some handymen to do a little bit of work, because you might want to work on the foundation there. So obviously, the fewer boxes you hit, the faster you run, but I'm actually wondering if it's advantageous to hit a box now and then just to slow yourself down, because I kind of find when I get going too fast, it screws me up. So, being an endless runner, there is no end to this level. You just sort of run until you die, which maybe that's a metaphor for life, but I have to say, like, oh God, there's a bomb. 2,246 meters before turning into a fine mist. Now let's try this again. I have to say, sort of these endless games, like, okay, preface this by saying I think this game is incredibly awesome. The graphics, the music, it does have like a very simple gameplay mechanic, but it is actually kind of like interesting and fun. The animations are smooth. This game is just so creative and so neat. But that said, I have never been the biggest fan of endless runners or endless anything games. I think like I was trying to think about this before I started recording today, like why I don't really play endless runners, and I think I just find them pointless. You know, like you just run forever. You know, it's like when Flappy Bird came out. Everyone went nuts over Flappy Bird. People who I know who didn't even really play games on their phone were getting Flappy Bird. And I remember seeing Flappy Bird and I was like, who cares? Like, yeah, I mean, you get through a couple of pipes. I guess there's some feeling of satisfaction, but I don't know, like, I mean, I'm definitely not a casual gamer. I'm a retro gamer. I grew up on Mario and Zelda and Command and Conquer and Fallout and StarCraft and games that had levels and goals and, you know, mission variety. I kind of feel like a game like this, it's weird. It's like, it's about putting you in a trance. You know, I think a lot of casual games aim for that trance. It's like just getting you into a groove where you're not even really thinking or really processing too much of what you're looking at on the screen. Like, as I play this right now, my vision is kind of blurring, and my mind is honing in on the gaps. But other than that, I'm not really looking in too much detail at the apocalyptic environment around me. We got like burned out buildings and stuff in the background. I don't know what happened in this world. Again, apparently there's some kind of like space monster if you get far enough. But yeah, I don't know. Just sort of the idea. Where am I? What happened? Oh man, he flew up into space. Okay, that was kind of interesting. All right, let's quit here and try one of these other worlds. So that is, I think, the default world. Bombardment. What was that called? Hold on. Defenestration. Invasion. Leap of Faith. Panic. Box Tripper. Fractured. Impurity. Try Invasion here. One other thing you can do is play 2 players on the same computer, which is kind of interesting. One person space jumps and the other enter jumps. So if you want to play this with a friend, we can try playing with both characters and see how long they last. It's kind of interesting. You can have them jump independently. Oh god, okay, well I guess I'm this guy now. Oh my god! That's actually pretty crazy. So I guess there are some different mechanics in different levels here of the game. But yeah, I don't know, like what do you guys think of endless runners or just these sort of endless casual games? Again, I don't 100% think they're for me. And I just can't put my finger on it. Okay, it's too hard to have 2 people. We're totally switching this back. You'd think having 2 lives is actually a good thing, but it actually is quite distracting. And that level is actually quite tough because the buildings kept being demolished as I was trying to jump for them. It was hard to plan where to jump because when I go to jump for a building, oh my god, what the hell is this? Leap of Faith. I guess they do have different kinds of levels, but it's still different than having like actually different levels like you'd get in a Mario or a Sonic or something. So yeah, I don't know. Endless Runners, I mean, you know, I don't begrudge their existence or anything like that, but certainly I don't like this level. That reminds me of an old Atari level. I think in many Atari games you could play games on invisible mode. Like I remember you could do that with Breakout. You could make all the blocks invisible. So this game definitely has sort of retro inspirations going on here. As I said, this game was programmed in the span of 1 week by its developer, and it was a Flash game for a long time, and then it was ported to PC, it was ported to Android, iOS, it was ported to PSP, eventually it was ported to the Commodore 64, which we're going to check out today because we're playing the Steam version. I actually really wanted to play this on Android for you guys, just to mix it up. Jeez! I'm jumping over these buildings. I'm like jumping too far. Anyway, I really wanted to play the Android version for you guys, just to sort of mix it up, because I thought that would be like, you know, it's a system we don't play very much. You know, because it's not really a system, it's more of like a phone OS. Holy crap, look how fast he's going! We can just like triple jump these buildings! Oh my god. I feel like I'm getting a little motion sick playing this game, to be totally honest with you guys. You might have noticed too that the levels are not the same. So they are procedurally generated, meaning that when you sit down to play a level, you don't know what you're gonna get. And I think that's, well, I don't know actually. I was gonna say, I think that's important for a game like this. But here's the thing. You could have made this game with levels. If you had made this game with levels, then I think not procedurally generating your levels would have actually made this game better, because then people could have learned the levels and people could have started to speedrun this, and it would actually, you know, like, people would have to memorize the hard parts of the levels, and I think there'd be some joy there. The thing with procedurally generated levels like this is, like, you can't memorize your jump patterns. Oh my god, okay, this is too hard. you can't memorize your jump patterns, so you just have to sort of constantly react. And there's nothing wrong with a game like that, but it is a little different than a game like Mario. Like, you know, if you encountered a hard level in Mario, the way to beat it was to memorize it, learn the ins and outs of the levels, and then get so good at running it that you were like, you know, Tom Cruise in The Edge of Tomorrow, when he's just like running through the battlefield, like shooting enemies before they even like round a corner. You know, like that is like the art of being a gamer. That's what all gamers, that's what all gamers kind of work towards. They want to be at that level where they're reacting so fast they seem ungodly in a game. That is where gamers get their satisfaction. This is kind of an interesting level. In this level, you're not supposed to go too fast, and there's boxes everywhere. Oh my god. So yeah, I feel like because there are not predictable levels, you can't really get to that level of being good, where this game is not about memorization, it's about reaction. And maybe that's why I don't like endless runners. Again, I don't begrudge their existence, and oh god, I just fell all the way down. Wasn't even running fast enough. You can't make yourself run faster, he just automatically generates speed over time, so if you don't hit boxes, then he will just go faster. That's just how it works in life, I guess. Maybe we'll die a few more times and we'll try the Commodore 64 version here. I'm curious to see how this game holds up on the Commodore 64. But anyway, those are my random thoughts on endless runners, on procedurally generated worlds versus worlds with levels. I don't know. Again, I kind of like this game. It's interesting, but I also feel like, I don't know, I just couldn't imagine myself playing this for more than, you know, like maybe an hour. You know, and that's pushing it. I don't even think today's video will be an hour, and I'm gonna play this on 2 systems, and I'm really gonna try and explore all the nooks and crannies. I can't jump into a building. Those buildings are hard. If you hit the wall, you do not go into them. I really want to make it into a building because it's kind of fun to jump through the window. But I mean, you know what the problem is? I'm not precise enough. When I jump as high as I can. That's sort of a newbie mistake. Classic newbie mistake, Jay. It's all about threading the needle. Jump only as high as you need to. Oh my god, all these buildings are collapsing! Did I slow down? Those boxes are actually a little strategic because you can hit some to intentionally slow yourself down a bit. Give yourself a bit of a breather. I imagine if you get going, oh yes, we made it in. If you get going too fast, the game actually can get quite hard, so you probably want to hit some of those boxes. Oh, look at this construction equipment we're running across. We still have not seen anything that this person is actually running from. They're just kind of running because they can. This person is like if Forrest Gump was in the Matrix. Like, I'm getting a very Matrixy vibe from the world. I don't know if you guys are. It's like a mix of the music and the sort of apocalyptic background and stuff. Plus the guy just runs crazily. What happens if we make the game in 2D? This is like a prelude to what it will look like on the Commodore 64, I think. Oh no, it was in 2D. Wait, now we're getting like some 3D effects. Kind of interesting. Oh, the game actually just got more sophisticated. Interesting. So, I don't know if this was in the original Flash game, but I gotta imagine that he just sort of amped up the visuals of this. You know, when you port a Flash game to PC, you gotta do something. So he probably added 3D elements at that point. Interesting. Okay, let's try like 1 or 2 more levels in 3D. I legit am getting a little motion sick though, so we can't go too much further here. How sad is it? Does that make me old? You know, when I was a kid, at recess, I would run for the swings. There was only like 6 or 8 swings in our playground. We made it in the building. And at recess, I would run for the swings, and I would go on the swings the entire recess. That's like what I love to do. I love swings. Nowadays, if I go on a swing and I swing more than like a minute, I legit feel a little motion sick. I legit don't feel good. I feel a little dizzy. Kind of like how I'm feeling right now, actually. I can still ride roller coasters, which, you know, I really love roller coasters, so I'm really happy that I can, but I feel like that's going to be the next thing to go. Roller coasters. Getting too old. Oh man. Oh, we made it through 2 buildings. Didn't think we'd actually make that. The trick sometimes is just not to jump. Oh man. Oh man. And then other times you need to jump. Whoa. Whoa! Like, I could be Neo right now. If you told me this was a Matrix game in like the late 90s or whatever, I would have believed you. All right, that one's quite hard as well. Okay, let's try one more. I keep saying we're done, but let's try one more. How about Purity? So these different maps obviously have different frequencies of things. Like sometimes you're jumping in buildings, sometimes there's lots of boxes. Interesting level here. Sometimes there's like missiles wiping out. Oh, what was that? I thought I had to jump on top of that box. Sometimes there were missiles that were wiping out buildings, as we saw in one of the earlier levels that I tried. But other than that, it's pretty much the same game. Same game. Oh, that's a platform? I don't know, was that a billboard or something? Interesting. Alright. So yeah, being an endless game, there really is no end. I mean, once you've played the game for 5 minutes, you know exactly what you're gonna see for the next hour. Which I think is another aspect of games that steer me away from the endless runners. I mean, I know eventually if you run far enough in a level, they will introduce some new mechanics and stuff. But I definitely, like, even modern Mario games, I feel like one thing I like about them is every time you go into a new level, or a new world especially, like, you don't know what you're gonna get. It's a bit of a surprise. There's new enemies, new mechanics. Even if it's old enemies you've seen before, they're arranged in sometimes novel configurations that makes them interact differently. Like, there's just so much variety. As opposed to a game like this, which is totally, minimalist. Despite the fact that it's not devoid of gameplay mechanics. It's not devoid of variety. But it, okay. Oh man, I'm legit dizzy. Okay, we are going to shift now to the Commodore 64 version and check that out. So we have seen what a modern PC can do with the endless runner genre. Let's see how well this game was ported to the Commodore 64. So take your bets now. How well is it going to hold up? All right, fun fact, while this game is loading, it is only 170 kilobytes, which is, pretty standard for a Commodore game, but that is tiny compared to modern video games. Also, I'm impressed right off the bat, the fact that they actually got the music in this game. And it sounds pretty good, actually. So kudos. And it's called C64 Canabalt. Alright, so let's just hop right in here. So immediately you seem a little more zoomed in, which actually might work to my advantage. We don't have sound effects, but the animations are actually very fluid on this guy. The buildings don't seem as far apart. We've still got the spaceship flying around in the background. They have collapsing buildings still. Now the doves are really, like, the animation is smooth. I'm quite impressed by this. Oh wow, the song keeps going. Wow. I mean, this is awesome. I love demakes. You don't see these very often, but where you take a modern game and you try and like put it onto an old system just to see if you can. But I feel like this is actually like a pretty good port. Like back in the day, if Canabalt was an arcade game, and what we just played was what you would play in the arcades, and then this is what you could get from the home version, people I think would rave about it and say like, this is like an amazing port. Like it's really true to the arcade experience. It's, very similar to what you're gonna be able to play in the arcades. It's definitely gonna scratch your Canabalt itch. Now that I think about it, when I was playing Canabalt here on the Steam version, I was talking about how I'm not a huge fan of endless games. But I guess a lot of arcade games were endless games. Like Pac-Man, that's an endless game. You never beat Pac-Man. It has levels. But I mean, I guess there's a kill screen, but like functionally, no normal person can get to the kill screen. So yeah, like, I guess endless games, rather than being something new that sort of the casual game developers have invented for modern audiences, they in fact seem to be a return to form for video games, returning them to the arcade era when you just wanted people to play forever and you didn't want, your game stand. Like Mario Brothers would not done as well in arcades because it had an end, and so once people beat it, well, I don't know, maybe it would have done well. I mean, it's not like no arcade games had an end, but certainly if you look at like the classics, like Asteroids, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, like the OG original arcade games, they did not have ends. It was only like later on, like when like Final Fight was made, and they're like, all right, fine, let's give it an end. But they could have just had Final Fight being an endless beater. Does that even exist? We have endless runners. Do we have endless beat 'em ups where you just beat guys up forever? You know, you're like caught in a purgatory of beating people up. Man, those bombs just drop out of nowhere. I do kind of feel like lacking the sound effects takes a little bit away from the game, but not so much that I'm not still suitably impressed that whoever ported this was able to do so. So the original designer, developer of this game was not the one who ported it to Commodore 64. He actually just released the source code, and somebody else ported it. And actually, you know, credit to him for releasing the source code to this game. He actually even said a year after he had released it that releasing the source code had not really harmed his game sales or anything. So I think that's great too, you know, like we definitely got to support indie developers who are producing like really neat games like this. Like even if you are like me and you're not a huge fan of, man, I can't get in those buildings. Even if you're like me and you're looking at this and you're like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of endless runners, and yeah, it seems fine, but it's like not the kind of game that I would want to play, and it does seem like you get boring quickly and stuff. I think you do have to give props to like the atmosphere this game conjures. Like it feels like a dream, you know, like this sort of nightmarish world where this guy's running and there's awesome music and awesome graphics. And like clearly like the animations and the smoothness of it and the gameplay tightness that we've got going on here, it indicates to me that the developer really cared and put a lot of effort into making the game good. So I think that even if you aren't into endless runners like I'm not, we can still appreciate this game on multiple levels. And I totally see why a game like this would reach a lot of people who like endless runners or didn't know that they liked endless runners and would popularize the genre. So it wasn't the first endless runner, but I definitely 100% see why it popularized it. And if this is the game that popularized endless runners, I happen to think like in you know, going to the 1001 thing, like, is this a game you must play? Not necessarily a game I'd say you must play, but it definitely is a game that I think deserves to be in the book because of it would be sort of iconic and influential at that point. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of Canabalt here? Is this a game that you guys played on your phones back in the day? Do you guys like endless runners like this? Does this feel like a return to form for classic arcade games? You know, one other thing I'll say real quickly about this game that impresses me on the Commodore 64 is I know back in the day, sort of horizontal scrolling like this, like it seems crazy that this would be hard for computers to deal with, but I know that one thing that made the NES, the Nintendo, outcompete or outperform or outshine computers many times is that Mario and all the platformers on the NES, well, most of them anyway, except the crappy ones made by crappy developers, but most of them scrolled very smoothly. The Nintendo was designed for platformer games and like smooth left and right scrolling, and it did it really well. And I know back in the day on computers, especially PCs, but I think also Commodores and Amigas and stuff, smooth scrolling was a bit of a challenge in the early days. They eventually figured it out, but I know when the guys at id Software, oh, we made it over that bomb that time. When the guys at id Software created the Commander Keen engine, that was sort of a bit of a breakthrough. The fact that you could have smooth scrolling on a computer. And they actually even contacted Nintendo and asked Nintendo if they wanted to collaborate, and the id Software guys would port Mario to the computer using their new engine. Nintendo, of course, said no, because if they had done that, then, you know, Nintendo was in the business of selling consoles, so you don't want Mario on any platform but Nintendo. But nonetheless, Nintendo was quite impressed, and certainly it was an impressive feat. But look at the smooth scrolling we have here. Yes, we have about 30 or 40 years of hindsight and, you know, programming experience so that people can now look back at the Commodore 64 and realize how to get all the bang for the buck they could get out of that system. So it might be a slightly unfair comparison. but I think it nonetheless is impressive just how smooth this game runs and how the developers were able to squeeze so much out of the Commodore 64. So yeah, definitely if this had come out back in the 80s, this would have impressed the crap out of people. And maybe Endless Runners would have become a staple of video games because this game would have been so popular. And, you know, we can all imagine an alternate gaming history that emerged because of all this. I don't know. Anyway, that was my super long tangent in the middle of wrapping up this game. All right, so going back to it, what do you guys think of Canabalt? Is it a game that you think you must play before you die? Sound off in the comments down below. I had some fun with this game. I don't think I would recommend it for people who've never played it, that you have to play this game. But certainly if someone was looking for like a game on their phone to kill a bit of time, and I knew that they kind of liked these, I don't want to call them more mindless, but you know what I mean, like these sort of more casual style, simple, minimalist games, then this is a game that I might actually recommend to people. And let me just say, the music is awesome. The music and the style of this game is awesome, and I kind of want to go watch the Matrix now. So anyway, what do you guys think of the game? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, whatever you do think of the game, hopefully today was interesting and entertaining. Hopefully my random stream of consciousness you guys found engaging and interesting for some reason. If you did, don't forget to like the video and all that jazz. And in the meantime, until we meet again, you guys take care of yourselves, and peace.